The village idiot Donald Trump is desperate today. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And we're going to cover the news from the weekend. We're going to use Ron Filipkowski's news coverage bulletin. I am just going to bring up the live stream in Substack so I can see who's here. It'll just take me a moment. Okay, I've got that up, and I just have to get we're going to bring TikTok on board today. All right, TikTok is here now too. So I hope you're all doing well. I hope you all had a good weekend. I hope if you needed it, I hope you took a little bit of a break from the nonstop, incessant news cycle. It's not a bad idea to check out of the news cycle every so often. It's actually pretty helpful. Hello, Colleen. Hello, Gamer Vet Dad. How are you guys? It's not a bad idea to check out of the news cycle to just sustain your wellness, your mental health, your emotional stability. But let's just get right to it. Donald Trump is desperate today. Donald Trump is more desperate today than I have seen him ever. Donald Trump I think Donald Trump is dealing with the most significant amount of political peril that he has ever dealt with. The price of oil is exacerbated, right? And granted, I know we were at yesterday, the price of oil topped out at $103 or $102 a barrel. I know there was a little bit of relief today where it kind of went back down to $93 a barrel. This topsy-turviness of the price of oil isn't going to calm the market, and it's not going to calm the commodities market, and it's not going to suddenly make oil go down. I think the national average is about 368 or something like that today. Fact check me on that. I may not have that completely correct. But the price of oil is up there. Trump is desperate. He is in the most political trouble, like I said, that I think I've seen him in since ever. Actually, I was going to say since he was indicted, but even that was a political boon for him. This will not be. This is a political disaster for the village idiot Donald Trump of epic proportions. Hey, Jules, how are you? Trump is in so much trouble domestically and internationally, but really the domestic politics are all that matters. There is, other than sort of desperation pleas, not pleas, Please, please, Pleas, other than desperate pleas by sycophantic Republicans who are tied to him at the hip that you see on X, aka Twitter, and that you hear on cable news, other than these sort of desperate pleas to tell everybody how great the war in Iran is going and how the fake news media is just really lying about the war and all of this other stuff. Other than those desperate pleas, though, everybody knows around the world knows what's actually happening. Everybody around the world knows that Israel is wagging the dog, right? The tail is wagging the dog right now. Netanyahu is, to the extent that he's capable, is at least using Donald Trump to help him in his war in Iran. And I'm sure Netanyahu, if he deems it necessary, will try to figure out a way to get the village idiot Donald Trump involved in the onslaught of Lebanon as well, that Israel is currently engaged in. But for Donald Trump, the problem is that he has staked his entire political present, because he has no political future. He's staked his entire present political moment on this war in Iran. And as this continues to spiral out of control, he is desperately grasping for straws to try to change the narrative, to try to control the narrative, to try to make things sound different than the way that they really are. But we've all become completely and thoroughly intolerant of that. And it's not working. And on top of that, although you may not be following you may not be following this here in the US, what I'm going to talk about right now. It's still happening. He has his legislative future, which is grim on a good day anyway. He has completely staked his entire legislative future on the SAVE Act. And the SAVE Act is the Republican efforts, Donald Trump's efforts to legislatively, at the federal level, interfere with the 2026 midterm elections. It's his way to, it's the supposedly just the Show Your ID Act, but it's much more egregious and nefarious than just showing identification to be able to vote. Although being able to get a hold of a picture ID or a passport, just being able to get a hold of one of those things for a lot of American citizens is prohibitively expensive and logistically impossible. So, because Donald Trump is such a nutcase and he's so delusional and he can't let go of his staggering loss in the 2020 presidential election, because he's so emotionally immature and he's so mentally unstable, he's this SAVE Act is this unpopular, nonsensical legislation that he has forced upon Republicans in the House and the Senate to push through, threatening John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, with, I don't know, he hasn't been specific about what his threats are, but threatening the Senate Majority Leader that if the Senate Majority Leader doesn't get rid of the filibuster and pass this nonsensical SAVE Act, that would prove, somehow passing that nonsensical SAVE Act would somehow prove that Donald really won the 2020 election, right? And it might save him, he thinks, from the catastrophic, inevitable outcome of the 2026 presidential election, as it appears will be the case for Republicans and indirectly for the village idiot Donald Trump. So he's so placed his whatever is left of his political fortunes on the SAVE Act that he has put himself out there saying, "I'm not going to sign a single piece of legislation until the SAVE Act is signed. Don't send anything to my desk." Of course, I'm paraphrasing, so you're always welcome and encouraged and invited to fact check me on that. But irrespective, we are in this incredible moment, I think, in U.S. political history, where we have a U.S. president who has put all his political capital on the line for a catastrophic international wartime blunder and a piece of legislation that is not ever going to go anywhere, that cannot pass, that will never, ever, ever pass the Senate unless John Thune loses whatever slight little bit of balls that he has found. That it doesn't seem that Thune or really very many other Republicans, except the Mark Wayne Mullins, for as long as Mark Wayne is there, and the Josh Hawleys and the pretend sociopaths like Mike Lee, but other than that, confederacy of folks, it does, and I use the term confederacy, not suggestive of the fact that they are like the actual Confederacy that we're familiar with here in the U.S. From the Civil War. But from all the reporting I'm seeing is most Senate Republicans are not interested in getting rid of the filibuster to cover the village idiot Donald Trump's ass. They seem to see the writing on the wall, and they seem to be ready to, I think, and Gamer Vet Dad, I don't know what your data sets are telling you right now, but they seem to be ready, I kind of sort of think, between the war and between this SAVE Act nonsense, maybe to kind of stop supporting him. Sort of. Maybe. kind of. And that's an unusual thing. So because I think he's so politically vulnerable right now, because I think we're in this moment where he has kind of left all his cards on the table, put all his cards on the table. He has absolutely no way out of this war, nor does he have any way out of the Save Act. He's so incredibly desperate right now. Substack folks, I do see that we still haven't gotten that thing straightened out with the latency issue with Substack, because I do see some bouncing in and out with that. I am struggling to get, and everybody else from the other platforms, just please bear with me just for a moment, because I just need to kind of update the Substack folks about what's going on here. Because Substack is our home base. It's Democracy's home base, and it's the place where I always tell all of you to go, because it's the one platform where any creator actually owns their audience, where any creator to a limited extent actually owns their content, and where we're not kind of fighting with an algorithm to try to. We have subscribers, free and paid subscribers, and we have who we have, and you're not fighting with an algorithm or with control of your content, and so it's a great space. But I'm having some multi-stream issues in there. My I've been working on it. I've been actively interacting with the folks over at Ecamm Live, which is my streaming software. I am quite sure it's me. It's not a Substack problem. It's coming somehow from my Ecamm Live streaming software. The um the technical support for Ecamm has been abysmal on its best day. It's been awful. Uh, Useless in essence. So I am actually going to have a meeting today with some friends from Chorus who are using different platforms, and we're going to do some platform comparisons. And again, I'm going to get a little guidance on that. And I may be switching platforms as well. So to try to kind of find, because I don't think this problem is solvable with, it's solvable, but because Substack support, I'm sorry, Ecamm support is so absolutely terrible, I, I, uh, I can't get solutions from them, but I'm still worried. Not that I've given up on them. We'll see what happens. So I apologize again for the latency, because I see the feed kind of bouncing in and out, and I'm so sorry for that. I'm so sorry I haven't fixed it yet. Um. So anyway, back to the news. So the village idiot is so desperate now. There's nothing he can do here at home. There's absolutely nothing he can do with the Save Act situation other than threaten John Thune, right? And John Thune's not up for reelection anytime soon, right? He's desperately trying to hold on to the Senate for Republicans, which isn't going to happen anyway. There's nothing Donald Trump can or will do to help him with that problem, and he has absolutely, unless he decides that he's just truly the coward that I know he is, there's absolutely no reason for him to do anything. There's no reason for him to surrender to the village idiot's demands right now. So the village idiot is caught between his own, stupid rock and ignorant hard place. So what he's trying to do with the Iran war is, it looks like and you guys have all been seeing this. It looks like it's an assault from two prongs, right? One is the PR effort, and one is the pressure effort, right? So the PR effort is here at home, and it's failing miserably. The PR effort is when he's got drunken Pete Hegseth out as the face of this war. Out of the plethora of stupid things that you might want to do when you're trying to get yourself out of a political hot water, because you got yourself involved because you got yourself you were unprepared, unplanned, and somehow fucking unaware of the consequences of the war that you were about to get the United States involved in. Clearly, the dumbest thing that you could do is put an idiot like Pete Hegseth out as your public face, because no one except the most loyal of MAGA cult members could actually take Pete Hegseth serious ever, right? That's not possible, right? So nobody is. Nobody. Pete Hegseth is the worst cartoon character. He's like if you took Homer Simpson, and in terms of stupidity, and you put Homer Simpson into a midlife crisis, and you made Homer Simpson even more incompetent and unfit for his actual job, and you gave him a full head of hair, semi full head of hair, and a white nationalist tattoo, and a guy who likes to be recorded in the some gym somewhere, not being able to do pull-ups. Then, if you had that, right, then you have Pete Hegseth, because Hegseth is the worst cartoon character that I've ever seen. So putting that ass hat out as the face of the war has been, an absolute PR blunder. And then we don't even hear, honestly, other than the daily briefings, the White House daily briefings, which I don't even watch. Uh, Other than the White House daily briefings, which I don't even watch, um, you know, you don't hear about you don't even hear about Carolyn Levitt anymore. It's like the White House press secretary, not because of her choice, but just she's just gone. Is it me? Has anybody heard from Carolyn Levitt? Do you watch ever? If you see a clip of Carolyn Levitt, do you on social? Do you watch it even for 5 minutes? Right? I don't even I my job is to get on here and tell you what's going on in the news. I don't even watch it. I don't pay any attention to her. JD Vance is gone, right? Well, I don't know where he went. Right? But JD Vance is gone. We don't hear pretty much everything from him. The FCC chair, dingbat fucking Brandon Carr, showed up for 5 minutes to pseudo threaten us and broadcasters, saying if you keep doing fake news, you're gonna lose your licenses. And everybody's like, fuck you, Carr. Jimmy Kimmel kicked the living shit out of you, a few months ago. Just go away. Just fucking go. And he's gone. There was some condemnation and blah 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 blah, and he's gone. Energy Secretary Wright, nobody knew who the fuck he was before the Iran war. We know a little bit about who the hell he is now because he is because he I'm sorry, I was just looking at the live chat. We kind of knew who he was a little bit from time to time, but not really. And now we sort of a little bit, even a little bit know who he is, but he pops on and he pops off, and nobody's paying attention to him. Nobody's paying attention to anyone in the Trump administration right now, except drunken Pete Hegseth and the village idiot Donald Trump. Scott Bessent, if you've noticed, if you follow the news as closely as I do, the Treasury Secretary has tried to stick, he's like, Scott Bessent is this guy. He's like, this is kind of how Scott sits, and he's sort of like, he's always got that half-assed fucking arrogant smile on his face. He's sort of like, I wanted to talk now. I'm here to talk about the war, and we are doing a great job. And I don't know what the fuck I'm doing out here, but I'm doing it. So Scott Bessent is in the mix a little bit over the last 2 days, if you've been paying attention, but nobody gives a shit. Right? There's just, I don't mean to make light of this absolute catastrophic wartime situation that we find ourselves in. And I apologize for that, for not making a mockery of the Trump administration, but trying to bring some humor into the moment, because it's not warranted, because of all the people that are dying, right? It's not warranted because people are making a decision now if they have to buy their medicine because they're or go to the doctor because they've lost their health insurance, or fill up their tank with gasoline, or buy enough fucking food for the week as the prices of that are going up. So I have to stifle myself a little bit when I want to make a laughing mockery of the fact that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump are the people that are trying to convince us to believe the PR bullshit that they're telling us, right? I wanted to take it down a darker, funnier road, but I think that's probably inappropriate when I'm talking about this. So I'm going to back off of that for the moment. So that's the PR part of it, right? That's the PR effort to convince Americans that this isn't a dumb war and that we're not losing this war economically, and that that Iran doesn't have a very, 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 very effective, well thought out economic strategy that is winning over, that is winning more than our tough guy, big balls. We have missiles that are bigger than our dicks, and we're going to drop them on you strategy. Uh, so that's not working. The PR campaign, but then there's the pressure campaign, and that's what I want to get into a little bit today with some of this NPR reporting that I'm going to share with you guys, and we'll talk about it a little bit. And you may, I'm sorry if you're following the news and not just me, you may you may be aware of this already. You probably are, but we're going to go into it in a little more detail. Uh, just before that, though, I want to mention something that I tried out this morning here on Substack. This is a Substack only thing for right now, and if you guys are at other platforms, nothing. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. You love your platform, stay on your platform. You don't have to come over to Substack unless you want to, right? It doesn't mean leave TikTok or leave Instagram or leave Facebook or YouTube. But I'm trying something new in Instagram. In Substack, because that's our base. That's our home community. And I did a daily news briefing this morning. And for the next couple of days, I'm going to try to do these daily news briefings because I feel like, well, there's a lot of them, but I do have people telling me that this is where they're getting their news. They're not necessarily paying attention to the news outlets, the cable news outlets. They're not paying attention to independent news outlets. They're getting their news from from social media clips. And that's the only place where they're getting their news from. And I think, as you've seen very successfully, Aaron Parnas is probably doing an absolute banger job delivering independent news to us. He is kicking ass and taking names. I actually, use Parnas's news consistently. I follow him and I take in all his news updates. To expand upon that a little more, I'm starting this, and we'll see if there's an interest in it. They're just morning news clips. It's just a quick rundown of the chaos and the madness that happened the night before and into the morning. It's quick clips. I did about a 9-minute post this morning. That will be just on Substack. They'll just be Substack video posts, and we'll do it just for a couple of days to gauge interest. If you're on one of the other platforms and it's something that you might want to catch, follow me on Substack. Zenocracy.news. Come and join over there, and you'll be part of that community, and you'll be able to see those particular news clips. If it's not something you're interested in, don't worry about it. It's all good. If it sucks, if I'm shitty at it and it's just not worth it, it's all good. We won't do it. Or if you get enough of your just straight news from everywhere else and there is no need for more of it, totally get it. We're going to try it and see if it works. A side note back to this news here. So Trump is so desperate at this point that he's asked, according to him, 7 countries to help the United States protect oil tankers that are moving through the Straits of Hormuz, a body of water that the Iranians have efficiently and effectively shut down. They've shut it down to such a point that the village idiot Donald Trump told people and countries and captains of these tankers several days ago that the U.S. that it's safe. Go, and if need be, the U.S. is gonna escort you through there. Now, granted, hours later, the Navy said, no. We can't do that. We can't be escorting ships through the Straits of Hormuz. But if a captain didn't, obviously there were a couple of captains or a couple of companies that own these tankers that didn't hear that part. And they sent their ships through, and there were 3 ships, one of them being a U.S. ship, that were destroyed, or, well, they weren't completely destroyed, but that were hit by projectiles coming out of Iran. And that shipping lane is closed. No matter what we do to Iran, no matter how many big bombs we drop on the Iranians, no matter how many Iranian islands we hit, no matter how much Iranian infrastructure, internal infrastructure we hit, even if some of it inadvertently makes the oil crisis worse, um, the Iranians have that body of water shut down, and that is part of their war strategy. They're actively engaged in shutting down that particular body of water. End of story. And that's one of the ways that they're fighting this war, and nothing seems to be stopping them. And much to the village idiot's chagrin, that is causing the price of oil to skyrocket. And nothing that he's doing, because he's so dumb, and the people around him are so dumb, and because they don't listen to people who are not dumb, nothing they're doing subsequently to try to alleviate the high price of oil is working, right? They thought that making this announcement that and trying to organize an international body of allies and associates, right, who would release their strategic reserves of oil. And I don't remember what the number, how many uh, million barrels that was, hundreds of millions of barrels it was that everybody agreed to do. That didn't just the news about that. I assumed that the Trump administration assumed would bring down the price of oil. It did for like 12 minutes, maybe for like 6 hours. Then it didn't, because then, commodities traders soon learned that, as there were subsequent reports about it, that not a drop of that oil would be on the market for months. And the village idiot himself, please fact check me on the number here. I think he said, was it 117 or 172 million gallons from our strategic reserves? Our strategic reserves right now that are apparently only 59% full, because Biden released a chunk of the strategic reserves to bring down the price of oil at one point temporarily, but it was a temporary fix as it was intended to be. Um, and that those strategic reserves were never replenished, and that's on Biden. And then subsequently, the village idiot never replenished those strategic reserves before starting this stupid fucking war in Iran, because the assumption was, we've got oil coming in from Venezuela. We don't need those strategic reserves. We're the biggest oil producer in the world. And guess what? We've got oil in Venezuela. And I know that the money from the oil in Venezuela was supposedly all going into a bank account that only Donald Trump controlled in Qatar or Qatar. And then somehow that came back to that some short time later, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, announced, "Oh, no, it's not Qatar, it's not Qatar, it's back in the U.S." But that money, I believe, the village idiot and the morons around him, including Scott Bessent, made a determination that money is going to also kind of, offset what what we're going to lose from the Iranian, what we're losing now from the Iranians shutting down oil. And there was no forethought, regardless of what the village idiot or drunken Pete Hegseth say. There was no forethought. These idiots did not know or did not believe, when they were told by people who do know, that the Iranians were going to shut down the Straits of Hormuz. They did not think this would happen. They are lying about thinking that this would happen. That is my thought. That is my belief on that. They can't be factual. I can't prove that. TikTok algorithm, we don't need to get involved with a restriction. I'm not pushing off news that is not accurate. I'm saying that is my opinion about that. But irrespective, the village idiot is so desperate at this point that he is now pressuring allies and associates to, in essence, get involved in the war. He wants Great Britain, France, Spain, to a lesser extent, Ukraine, Germany, all the NATO countries, in essence. He said 7 countries specifically, but he also used the word NATO. He wants NATO countries and the Japanese and the Chinese to help him out of the clusterfuck that he created. He wants them to help him secure the Strait of Hormuz. And at first, he kind of halfway asked them, and they just didn't answer him, which is pretty funny, right? It's like, how you ever have a friend, right? Like a friend that it's sort of a friend, but it's not a friend. It's just somebody you keep you keep knowing because, I don't know, you just feel like you need to keep knowing them even though you really don't, right? So you stay connected with some person and, they ask you for shit. You want to meet like Thursday? And there's no fucking way you're going to meet with them on Thursday or ever. You never want to meet with them for coffee. You're never going. But because you're uncomfortable with confrontation and because you have not found the strength, the inner strength, I've done this a million times and I still do it now, to tell this friend that you're never going to meet them for coffee and that you're probably not friends. You just are like, don't answer the question, right? You just don't fucking answer it. You're just like, yeah, I'll let you know. And then you get nervous, you panic every time like they call, you don't answer the phone. You ghost them a little bit, but you don't completely ghost them, right? Because you don't want them to think you blew them off. And you just never answer the question. And then you just hope that the day for coffee just passes by and nobody noticed, especially the friend who isn't a friend, and that you can just deal with it all another day. You just procrastinate it off, right? You procrastinate off the confrontation. And it seemed like when the idiot asked, I would love them all. It would be great. They all need to do it. We're all benefiting from it. Everybody seemed to just like procrastinate it off. They're like, oh, fucking Donald. They're not going to answer Donald. Right? But Trump is like a mosquito, right? Like a mosquito, the mosquitoes serve no purpose in the world except they're a pain in the ass. They are food sometimes for bats and a couple of birds, but I think a lot of ecologists have even made the argument that if mosquitoes disappeared, they carry a lot of fucking diseases. They're just, relentless and annoying, but they serve no necessary purpose, right? Trump is like a mosquito, right? He's dangerous, not because he himself is dangerous, but like a mosquito carries a dangerous bacteria or dangerous germs. He's like a mosquito. He carries dangerous things around with him, but he himself is weak and not dangerous. And you could shoo him the fuck away, but he keeps coming back because he can't because a mosquito is driven by instinct, right? They want your blood. They need to survive, right? They need to feed their young, right? They want your blood. They need to reproduce. The idiot is driven by, severe mental illness, ego, and everything else. So it's like when he asked you to go to coffee, he's not going to leave you the fuck alone. You want to go? I would love it to go. Hey, Mitch, I would love to go to coffee tomorrow. You want to meet? Why don't you meet me at Starbucks? It is going to be great. Sorry, Donald. Donald, I'll let you know. I'm going to let you. All right, Mitch, you got to let me know. Let me know. I'm very bit. Let me know right away. Okay, I'll let you know. And I don't expect I'm going to hear a call. I'm going to hear from him, but I get 7 texts in the next 20 minutes. All right, Mitch, you got to go. It's good. Come on, Mitch. I am waiting for you to get back to me. Let's hear about it. Let's do it. And then eventually, if you leave, but he'll never stop. He'll never fucking stop. So with the Chinese and our European allies and the Australians and the Japanese, he wouldn't shut the fuck up, right? He's like, they don't want to answer you. They don't want to get involved in this fucking war. They're not going to send their warships, you fucking idiot, right? They're not going to send their warships to help you with this. Not going to happen. But they didn't want to tell you. But he wouldn't shut up. He couldn't shut up. He just kept bothering them through the media. Let me get an interview with the Financial Times. Now I'm going to tell the Times. I won the 2020 election, by the way. But by the way, we better... they better get on board with that. They better get on board. They better get out there into the streets and stop it right now. I'm going to call on them. So finally, after 48 hours of this petulant child, nonstop, fucking picking, not leaving them alone. Right after 48 hours of this shit, we're starting to see reports today that they're starting to speak out. Right, the Brits have been like, "Fuck you." Right, Starmer finally says, "You know what? I can't take it anymore. This crazy bastard, I can't take it anymore. No, we are not getting involved. We will not engage a single ship in the war with Iran. We're not getting involved. For fuck's sake, Donald. Stop calling me. Take my cell number. Get me a new cell phone, Nigel, or some shit like that, right? But again, I'm paraphrasing. That's not really what he said, but it's basically what he said. The Australians came straight out and they were like, I can't do a good Australian accent now, so I'm not going to try. They were like, no, fuck off. The Chinese have been a little more diplomatic about it because the idiot's supposed to go there, what, in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something to go to see President Xi in China. But so they were trying to be a little bit diplomatic about it. And then the idiot says yesterday, I don't know if it was on True Social. I don't remember where it was. If it was True Social or if it was in the Financial Times interview or wherever it was. But he said something along the lines of, I might not go. If President Xi doesn't agree to patrol the streets and send the war boats, I might not go. And he didn't realize. He's so fucking delusional. He has no idea that she doesn't want to see him. She couldn't give a rat's fuck if that idiot doesn't show up in 3 weeks or whenever. She will be fine. The Chinese have made unilateral, bilateral, and multilateral trade agreements with almost, if not every single one of our former trade partners. The Chinese don't need us anymore when it comes to international trade. Let me repeat that. We do buy a lot of stuff from China, but so does everybody else. The Chinese do not need Donald Trump and his fucking craziness anymore. They're done. They've had time to manipulate, manage, and control Donald Trump throughout this whole tariff nonsense to be able to put themselves in the position as the global economic leader. And other countries who have gotten fed up with us, Canada, Mexico, the EU, Great Britain, the Australians, other countries, the Brazilians, the fucking Argentinians that we bailed out for $40 billion, all of these countries have negotiated their own deals with China. China doesn't need us. She doesn't need the idiot to go there. And she probably would be very relieved if the imbecile was like, I'm not going anymore. She won't send the war boats. She won't. They're not getting the war boats. And again, I can't speak for President Xi of China. Obviously, I'm not him. I don't know what's going through his mind. Maybe they want Trump there so they can manipulate him a little bit more. But I don't think any of them are going to lose sleep about that imbecile not coming. And then I saw some reporting today from the White House saying, well, we're not, it's not the word, if we don't, it was Scott Besson again. I'm sorry. Let me do one. Well, the Chinese, President Trump may not go with the Chinese to China to see President Xi after all, but I can assure you it has absolutely nothing to do with Iran, right? And that's directly contradicting what the village idiot said yesterday, which was, yeah, I might not go if she doesn't send the boats. If she doesn't send the boats, so we'll see what happens, but. He is in this desperate state, and he wants now we're at a point where we put this idiot into this position where it's not just us, the people who, as a nation, the nation that was dumb enough to elect him into office to be president of the United States. It's not just the nation who he expects and has to bail him out of all his problems. It's now the whole fucking world. And it's not going to happen. The international community is not going to bail Donald Trump out of this mess that he got himself into, nor should they, nor do I, as an American citizen, want them to. And I will say it plainly, politically, it would be unhelpful as the midterms are coming up for the Chinese or the Europeans or the Australians to help this idiot out in any way, in any capacity with this war. And I feel confident that even if you had some voices, say in the EU or say in Great Britain, that were thinking, well, you know what, maybe Maybe we should. Maybe we need for our own economic interests to and to control the price of oil in our country, maybe we should. They'll never make that political miscalculation again because they're smarter than that. They don't have they are not imbeciles like the people who are running this government. They will not do it. They would be so politically unpopular to actually engage in this war in any capacity. They'll never ever ever take that chance. It would be political suicide for anyone, in any Western country to or Japan or the Koreas. I mean, the Chinese. It's a different type of government. It's an authoritarian government. I don't think there's any political risk to Xi at this point, but she's not going to do anything to help the United States when they are pressing right now the economic advantage, and they are the only world leader right now. They are the only superpower right now that matters. So why would he? He won't. So I think the politics here in the U.S. of this catastrophic war. The only thing we can hope for, I'm gonna just say this, and then I'm going to certainly read a few of your comments, and then I want to wrap the live because I do have a briefing at 12:30, guys. But I want to also take a little bit end the live a little bit early, so I can see if I can get connect again with Ecamm Live's technical support to see if I can make any progress with trying to fix this problem on Substack. And I thank you for your patience and apologize again, guys, for this. Actually, you know what? It's enough of me talking. I do too much of it anyway. Let me just read some of the comments. Let's start over here with TikTok. And TikTok, I don't bring you guys in every day. We'll do it several times a week. I'm not sure which days yet. I'm going to work into defining the TikTok days that we bring TikTok in. It's just because TikTok is not the community, the company at this point. Oracle and the algorithm that's functioning. I have to be careful with TikTok because it's very difficult not to get restrictions or strikes when I'm doing a live, even if I'm trying my best to follow the rules. As a pro-democracy influencer, it's very, very difficult. So I'm just bringing TikTok in a couple of days a week. If you guys want to see the lives every day, again, come to Substack at zenocracy.news, zenocracy.news. The link is in the profile. Please like and subscribe. If it's comfortable for you and it's something that you might want to do, please consider a paid subscription as well. That's what allows me to do my work. But please come anyway, even if that's not something you're interested in. Free subscriptions are still incredibly helpful, and you'll have access to the daily lives. It's too risky to come to. TikTok is still too important a platform to stop being on it at this point. And I know we have a community on there, but it's too risky a platform to be on every day when it comes to live. So just wanted to keep that information for you. So Jaja, who's Ben? I'm not sure what you're referring to, Jaja, so I can't answer that question. Good Besson. I'm working on it, Abigail. I'm working on my Scott Besson. He seems to come easily. Ping you. Germany wouldn't even have the necessary warships to fight effectively there. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I don't know much about the German military, and I haven't read any reporting about Germany's response to the Village Idiot. I assume it's one of the 7 countries, but they're not. As Ping Yu is saying, Germany wouldn't be interested, wouldn't have the warships, but I highly doubt they're interested in anyway. Gail, I know. I'm so sorry about that, Gail. I know Substack keeps cutting out. I'm actually going to leave a little bit early to go into my streaming platforms. Technical support. I'm looking at switching streaming platforms as well because of this. So I apologize for the technical difficulties on Substack. It's coming from inside the house. It's coming from here. It's coming from my feed, and it has something to do with my my streaming software and Substack. And I'm not getting the support that I need from my streaming software. So I'll have to keep. It may take me a few days to switch over to another platform if I need to. So I apologize again, and please just bear with me through it, or hop over onto one of the other platforms. But I am so sorry about that issue that we're dealing with. Let me just take one or two more comments here. Sorry, BN has been very quiet lately. I'm still not who is Ben, who is BN. I'm still not sure what you're. My apologies, Judge. I don't know exactly what you're referring. Oh, Benjamin. Oh, BB. Um, I mean, he's been quiet in American media. I haven't been watching. I have to admit, I usually watch all, media outlets all over the country, and I usually look at Haaretz and Jerusalem Post over in Israel to see what's going on. But for the last couple days, I haven't, so I don't know. You may be more familiar with it than I am, Jaja. I don't know if he's been quiet in Israel. I know our media hasn't been covering him, but and they wouldn't. They don't. But if you're familiar, um, then let us know. But I don't know if he's been quiet. If you're following Israeli media as well, and you're seeing that he's kind of disappeared. That's kind of interesting as well. I wonder why he's, politically what's going on with him, why he's been so quiet. Mr. Barrios, they ghosted him. They absolutely did. Lacey, always appreciate the laughter, Lacey. Gamer Vet Dad, he fabricated a war and fabricated fear that no one is listening to. 100% Gamer Vet Dad, you're always on point, and this is no different. He reminds me of the guy who thinks the boat is sinking and panicking while sitting in a submarine at Disney puttering around at the pool. That he's out of his fucking mind. And you know what it is too? I can't even say that when it comes to all of this stuff specifically that we're talking about here, that the village idiot Donald Trump is always lying. It's sometimes hard to tell what's straight up lies and what is delusion. What it is that he's so delusional that he actually believes. And I feel like usually I can tell, but I feel like we're in one of those moments where it's kind of hard to tell the difference. Anyway, guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap the live because I really want to get over to reach out to support one more time with Ecamm Live and see if I can't get this fixed. Thank you again, everybody. 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, one live at a time. Just keep chunking through it. Keep stepping away when you need to. Get your breath. Get sort of the stress out of your system. We'll be here. We'll be holding the line and standing up for democracy. And you come back when you can, and just keep chunking. We're heading toward a year and a half into this, and who would have thought we would make it this far? So we're just it gets harder to say this every day, but we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Thank you guys. I love you, and I will see you soon. Everybody be well. TikTok, I'm going to wrap you guys first. Okay, TikTok has left the building. Substack again, and Gail, I know. I'm so sorry about it, Gail. Guys, I'm going to go on to into tech support right now and see what I can do. And again, we may have to, hopefully we won't have to bear with this for a few more days. As I mentioned, if you just joined us, I know, Gail, you came in. You may have missed this first part when I mentioned this earlier in the live. One of the things I'm going to be doing is I'm having a meeting today at 1 o'clock with some of the folks who are in my community who also go live, who use different platforms. And we're going to kind of compare notes, and I'm going to get an idea of what they're using. So it'll give me, a better springboard of if I leave Ecamm, what to use next. So that should help expedite this problem too, if I can't get it fixed. Thank you, guys. I'll see you soon. Check out the daily briefing from earlier today here on Substack. That's a Substack only thing. Instagram, YouTube folks, join us over at Substack if you have a chance. Xenocracy.live. It's where you'll get just the quick daily news briefings. I'm starting that out. It's kind of a little morning experiment. Anyway, guys, I love you, and I'll see you in a little bit. Thank you for being here.